All right, good morning in Nigeria. And from where you are, I don't know what time it is, but I know you guys are ready to speak about what we're about to start talking about. That's the continued bombings in northern Nigeria by Boko Haram. Guys, I'd like to thank you for joining. First of all, we have Olumuyiwa. Olumuyiwa, where are you calling from? And just briefly introduce yourself.
Well, Olumuyiwa Babatunde Amoa is my name. I'm live from the city of Dunedin in New Zealand. We pride ourselves as people who reside in the last and the farthest country in the world.
All right, thank you. Carol?
My name is Carol. I'm calling from London, England.
All right, thank you very much. Ready?
Yes, nice to meet you guys. I'm Gary. I'm calling from Prague, Czech Republic, the central city in Europe, one of the most loveliest place you could ever be.
Well, good words. Everyone giving good words about where he is. We have Kushimo Oluwaseun. Can you hear us? All right, he can't hear us, but well, I'm in Lagos, and Lagos is also the commercial capital of Nigeria. Beautiful city, also, just like all the other cities you are. So just going straight forward now, Muiwa, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts? I mean, I think Nigerians finally have something to smile about. 58 billion naira raised for victims of Boko Haram. What's your take on that?
Well, as laudable as that objective seems, I think that if care is not taken, if it's not properly managed, it might end up going the normal way the others have gone to. I have a strong feeling that some elements would really, if the government doesn't monitor it, there's a very high possibility that the funds wouldn't serve the purposes for which it was set up for in the first instance. So I would argue that it sounds like a very good initiative, although I question the fact that the government is asking Nigerians to contribute out of the little funds that they do have to such a venture. But we can't really do anything about that. Fine enough or fair enough, people are contributing. I do hope sincerely that the money is spent exactly for the purpose for which it is set up for. And I do also hope that it solves part of the worry isn't about food by the government. My major worry is that why are you talking about a reconstruction fund or a rehabilitation fund when you haven't even solved the crisis? If you then make attempts to start rebuilding these places that these Boko Haram guys are so much desecrated now, what gives us the impression that they are not going to strike again tomorrow? That's one. More importantly, how do you identify a victim of Boko Haram? I mean, how do you identify the victims? What mechanisms are going to be put in place towards ensuring that the money gets into the proper hands? There are certainly a whole lot of questions that needs to be asked, and one I see secondly a whole issue that has to do with misspend of public funds or funds or that particular fund certainly because it's not faking. So the government needs to get its priority right. It needs to define exactly what purposes that money would serve. It also needs to tell Nigerians or tell the beneficiaries what you need to do to qualify to be a beneficiary of the fund. And more importantly, the government should not put before the horse. First things first. We need to stabilize that environment before we can begin to talk of rehabilitation. How it cubed our security forces. How well have they been able to do that? To securing the eastern part of Nigeria, and indeed the whole of Nigeria, because it doesn't look like the case is a northeastern issue again. So I think there are a whole lot of questions that need to be asked. I think there are a whole lot of answers that also needs to be provided by the government. But it's a good initiative. I have a very fundamental problem with the way the money is being gathered in first instance. But people are contributing, no problems. But let's see how it goes. We'll see how it goes in the next 1, 2, 3 months. From history doesn't tell us that this government has a reputation of managing things well. Nobody, I mean, for one, I don't know what is that was supposed to be part of the first subsidy lagis that Nigerians were promised in those days. I can't see any of those buses again anyway. Maybe because I'm far away from Nigeria, but let's hope that this time around the government gets its acts right, and let's hope that the government does the right thing. Let's also hope that we overcome this quagmire on time. For me, I think it's just a fairly good step in the right direction. I have problems with the implementation and the management of those funds that have gotten in the hand.
All right. Thank you for your own thoughts, giving us your thoughts. Carol, I'll come to you. What's your thought on this? I mean, Miwa raised some reservations about it, but also gave a little bit of hope as to what he thinks. But what are your own thoughts?
Um, Thanks, Victor. I think yeah, Miwa raised a lot of issues, very good issues, and I think the main thing from my point of view, and from most people's point of view, is I still don't think the government is sincere, or they want or really want to end Boko Haram, and I don't think they really have the will, the political will to do that. Because if we can raise 58 billion in a day or in a few days, it's clear that money really is not our problem in ending Boko Haram. The president went to the House and said he wanted $1 billion to end the insurgency, and if he has raised well about roughly about 40% of that money in a day or two within Nigeria. So why are you going to get a loan to stop the insurgency? And as Miwa said, you're getting a loan, so you're trying to raise money to help the victims, but then you still have these insurgents that you haven't stopped. So you're firefighting you're firefighting something that really hasn't you haven't stopped the underlying issues, but then you're going on to. But anyway, I still think the government is insincere, and the most important thing is the citizens themselves. Because I asked someone to raise a poll the other day, and it seems like the government, if they really want to end Boko Haram, you need the citizens to be involved in any Boko Haram. If you go around now and if I ask everyone here on this call that if are you comfortable enough, if you see anything suspicious, that you would go to the security agents to say, okay, by the way, I saw this and that. No, I probably wouldn't report anything to security agents, because there's no confidence in the security agents. Citizens are not confident in the security agents, and that's the first thing that I think the government needs to do. They need to secure the confidence and the trust of the citizens to report issues to them whenever things happen or whenever they see anything. But that's not happening, and they are not doing any more to gain the trust of the citizens. London was bombed in 2005 on the 7th of July, and since then, whenever you get into the underground or buses or wherever, what you hear day in and day out is, if you see anything suspicious, report to a member of staff. But the US was bombed also in 9/11, and they do sort of the same thing. But in Nigeria, if you do that, or what we've seen more of the government, or more from the presidency or wherever, is blaming this terror on opposition. They've spent so much time blaming the opposition and dealing with the real issues. And I would like to see them engaging the citizens more, giving them hope, giving them trust that you can come and report this to us so that we can help solve this problem. We can raise 58 billion, we can raise 100 billion or whatever it is, but then that 100 billion can be gone in 2 days, because Boko Haram can then decide to destroy places that cost more and more money. But then we need to end this terror, and the government needs to do more in helping us and helping themselves to end this terror. Nigerians are dying by the day, and it doesn't seem as if it's going to subside. I think Boko Haram has become more brazen than they were 2-3 years ago. So it's good they've raised money, but then it doesn't seem as if this Boko Haram issue is going to end anytime soon.
All right, Carol, just like you said, I hope we do, of course, like you said, if you ask anyone on this call, but I believe that we on this call should be able to, pass on to the security operatives your necessary suspicious movements. Gotti, I'll come to you now. We've spent some time now talking about this fund. But then if you look at the fact that in recent time, after the collaboration, after international agencies or countries offered to help Nigeria, I think we've recorded more of this blast. What haven't we done right?
I think it's the same thing that is we have been doing is the same thing that we have been doing, and that is we talk about the achievements rather than work hard to make sure that things happen. Yeah, since the international community did come in to say they are going to support, there have still been lots of bombings, and I'm still wondering why after a lot of statements that were issued that they know where the girls are, or some people said that there was a negotiator negotiating on behalf of the government and the people, or the terrorists, that they were going to release the girls soon. Even the special assistant of the president came on air and said that we know where the girls are and they will be released soon. So and it has not happened. That is over how many months now? So I don't think that there is anything. What I would say is that perhaps this international committee, they have come in and they have seen the way things are on ground, and they are not completely satisfied or not able to make any swift changes. We beat our chest about things and then that we are able to achieve something, but I don't see any tangible results. Look at what is happening. They have changed the style of bombing now. They are using girls, and the female bombers now are now going on rampage everywhere. So I think that our effort in curbing terrorism has really been slow and shadowed by a lot of interest, personal and political interest. And like the other speakers that say, we are raising this money now, and because a lot of people are contributing because it's election year next year, and we know the people who are milking this nation dry. They are the ones who are going to come and contribute the part of the loot to this whole program. And then when the president gets back to power, they actually have a way of securing their investment back. So it is not you and I that actually can contribute this money. And so the people who actually are looting are the ones who are giving back part of the loot. I'm sorry to say, with respect to a lot of the people who I know that were part of this fundraising that actually did raise good money. There are genuine people there, but we know that people taken from government is a regular occurrence in our country. The thing is, how can we, or how can they use whatever that has been raised to really see how to help this region? I did say a few weeks back that now that the bombings are happening in the north, nobody is thinking strategically what is going to be the next move. But nobody is thinking about how are these people thinking, how are they actually going to react. They say that we should support the government. Yes, we support the government. There is a campaign every day on channels television about how Americans stood behind the president, how Britain stood behind their prime minister, and how if we making some people making inflammatory statements. That is a problem with our country, that they are still pushing out this campaign that because somebody said something in 2011 that there's going to be blood. That is why we have terrorists in this country sending the wrong message and not doing anything to actually curb the issue. So we have too many people who are, I say, too many chefs in the kitchen, but not cooking anything, and that is a problem. Because who are you going to ask to step aside for somebody who has a better idea or a better mindset to actually solve this problem? A lot of people say they are security consultants. If you check their CVs or whatever, they were never even enrolled in the military before. What are they consulting? They don't even have CCTV camera in their shops, and they call themselves security consultants. And they come in on air and saying all kinds of things that they read this, they read that. There are a few people who actually, when they talk, you know that they actually know what they are saying. But a lot of people do actually bandy themselves as if they are really have anything to offer. And that is a problem. So international security experts coming in must have been feeling like, what are we doing here? And like I said before, if the people, you want somebody to help you and the person comes in and sees that there is really nothing on ground for them to start with, I don't know. They are not going to come to try to overhaul everything, because it would look as if that they are going to take over. They are taking over your primary responsibility. So what are we going to do? Well, what should we do? The government wants to borrow money. Perhaps they have seen, or they have gotten a report. The president may have gotten a report from this international security support that we have a weaker arsenal, or we have something that is not able to fight the terrorists, and now he wants to see how they can refurbish or upgrade what we have. But then, if you get, it is not enough just thinking about getting the loan and using it to, equip yourself. It is, what are the strategies? How are you going to ensure that everything that you plan would actually come in place? And that is the thing that is holding us in actually fighting this issue, because we are not thinking ahead of the people who we are supposed to be fighting. We're just 2, 3 steps behind them, and it is not helping. We don't know today. I don't know. Over the weekend, was there a bombing? Perhaps. We don't know what is going to happen within the next 24 hours, where the next targets are. And here we are. Yes, the Chibok girls that have been that were being adopted, some have been released. I was writing on Twitter the other day. Has there been any checks to understand to find out if some of these girls are not being used now as suicide bombers? Because there is nothing that is out of place for these guys to do. If they could adopt people, if they could go to a community and hack teenagers and children down and capture, there's nothing they couldn't stop them from strapping one of the girls and say, okay, you want to run, you go somewhere. They target, they blow up there. They say we don't know how experienced these guys are in the use of modern technology in blowing up things. We don't know. We just think it's a bunch of malams that know nothing. No, they have proven to us that they know more than we can anticipate. So a lot of things really, really needs to. We need to. The people who are running the country needs to sit down at some point and begin to ask themselves serious internal questions in their mind. Are they really sure that
All
they
right.
know what they are doing?
Hmm. Okay, sad. I mean, sad commentary there, but unfortunately, that's where we are at the moment. Carol, I'll come back to you now. If you look at it, the month of July has really been bad. So many bombings. I mean, it's quite sad, but how do we change this? What aren't we doing?
In my comments earlier. What we're not doing, I don't think the government is doing enough. Like I said, 2015 is in sight. They are spending more time blaming the opposition, trying to link it to. I think Buhari almost got killed by a bomb, and then you saw some people were still saying that he was the one that planned it, or he tried to. I don't know. It's some silly stuff that you really shouldn't be hearing from people who claim to be to understand what's going on. But anyway, I think the government is not sincere enough. And I think if they really want to do this, they seriously need to make Boko Haram a Nigerian problem. As it is, lots of people, mostly down the south of the river Niger, still think Boko Haram is a problem for the north and the northeast. But it's coming down south. It's coming down south, and it's engulfing the whole nation. The government needs to make this Boko Haram issue a Nigerian issue. Let or get the trust of the citizens. The poll that I was talking earlier on, that will people be confident enough to report anything to the security forces? About 75% of those that responded were like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going, because if you do go and report, or you saw this, you're going to be taken in custody, and you'll be taken as a suspect instead of. You saw what happened to Siaksin, and it was held for 12 days without anything. And these are the sort of things that the security agents have been doing that do not give confidence in the citizens to report anything to them anyway. So that trust is not there. That's the reality of that's reality. If I see something, will I be confident enough? I don't know, because I don't trust the security agent. I may be held, or people might be held as suspect instead of you've genuinely come to report something. So that's the problem we're dealing with, and the government need to actively now, as they start a campaign, the whole transformation agendas of Nigeria nonsense that they do on TV these days, that's not the campaign we want to see. The campaign we want to see is Boko Haram, how to end Boko Haram. If you see anything, report it. The police is your friend. The police is your friend was a very tactical campaign that the police did, even though they didn't really abide with it, just to give people confidence that the police is your friend, we're on your side. If you see anything, or if you're in trouble, come to us, we're your friend, will help you. And that's what the government needs to do. Like, come on the side. They need to grovel. They need to beg the citizens that, okay, we are with you, and we are with you on this. If you see anything, please tell us. We'll protect you. And they need to genuinely take all these things into consideration, and all these things that they're being put, and act on them, and stop blaming people that, okay, this is. If you claim that the APC or whoever is behind Boko Haram, why haven't you not prosecuted them up to this point in time? And it's just, I think it's they are playing they're running on the back of the illiteracy of Nigerians, and they'll just believe anything will tell them anyway. And that's why, and you see what's been going on, that people, there's poverty everywhere. People don't really care what the government tell them. They take, they give them rice or fufu or whatever it is when election comes, and that's the whole cycle. But the government needs to do more. They need to make us feel confident. They need to make the citizens feel that we're doing this. And then all this money that they've been throwing around in the past few years, that they've allocated trillions and trillions of naira to fight terror, Boko Haram. you haven't seen anything come out of this. No one can really say, okay, we spent X amount on this, and this is what we got from X amount of this. I got wind of someone in the military. He's been assigned to the Maiduguri Borno axis, and he said that Boko Haram infiltrated their camp and basically chased them away from their camp. The Nigerian army ran away from their camp, and obviously they must have took all their weapons and all that. That's Boko Haram. Like, the Nigerian army had to run away from their camp. This happened like last week or 2 weeks ago. Obviously, I'm not going to mention names, because he's my cousin and he's in the Nigerian military. So these are the things that are happening, and then you don't know. You don't know where money is going to, and when you raise these issues, the government will first come up and say, "Oh, that's not true. It never happened." But then they're not being sincere to us. We know that this thing, it's not a small thing. This is an insurgent. It's not a conventional kind of war. We know it's difficult to fight, but then the government needs to be sincere to Nigerians. Help us. We can help you. We can help each other fight Boko Haram, but then you have to bring everybody together, make it a Nigerian issue. It is not one person. It is not APC or Buhari or whoever they've been telling us that's fighting that is behind Boko Haram. If they are, arrest them, prosecute them now, and we need results, not going around throwing figures and talking nonsense in the media.
All right, I hope that happens soon and possibly get us out of this quagmire that we're in. Wait, I'll come back to you. Yeah. Hello, Muiwa.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Muiwa? All right.
Very well. I can hear you very well.
Exactly. So just what are your own thoughts? Because Kara is now saying that the government needs to do more in terms of getting the people to trust the military and to trust the government itself, so that this thing can be done. What exactly are your thoughts on this distrust between people, the army, and the government?
Well, I think Caro has touched on a very important aspect of the warfare, which is winning the support of your citizens. But for me, that's even a secondary consideration. There are three reasons why we have not won the war against Boko Haram. Three main reasons. The first is the political, the second is the economic, and then the third is the religious. And except and until our government tackles this issue from those three-pronged arguments, we might not win. And how do I mean? From the political perspective, we haven't won this battle because there are some forces, and the ruling party itself, who are benefiting politically from the continuing terror convivial environment in which Boko Haram tribes. Some persons in the north, in quote and unquote, and again in the opposition parties or party would believe that as long as terror tribes will continue to rubbish Goodluck Jonathan's government, will continue to make him look too less, and then we'll continue to have the support of the masses. That's the argument for those from the political angle, and they will always continue to advocate for a situation where Boko Haram will continue to strike, and they would not even mind providing Boko Haram with a necessary environment for it to thrive. Then from then it falls back to the ruling party. And the longer this terror continues, the richer some people become, the more fat their bank accounts are. We just saw evidence of that during in the last 2-3 weeks when Mr. President asked for under $1 billion to buy weaponry for the army. So if Boko Haram ends tomorrow, it means the source of ill-gotten wealth for some people within the ruling party and then the military is over. So these guys who unfortunately called the shots would never want explanation thing. The religious explanation itself has to do with the Boko Haram guys and the northern oligarchy in terms of the sultanate and everybody who used to be a spokesperson or a frontman in the north. If the northern leaders are not doing anything to educate their youths, to tell people exactly what the Quran says about peace and harmony, to tell people exactly what jihad means, to educate people about the fact that jihad doesn't mean you just kill anybody at random, it's going to win. So government needs to be sincere before it begins to talk about its people of its citizens. It needs to tackle this issue from this end. It needs to solve the problem of corruption that so much bastardize our military and bastardize our politics also. If it doesn't do that, the soldiers will continue to run away from war front. They will continue to run away because the man who is the commanding officer wouldn't give them what their dues are. And if you don't give these boys what is due to them, they're not going to fight. They're going to fight with their lives. So that's a very, very serious issue we need to tackle. Unless we do that, or until we do that, we're not going to move forward. And then from a political perspective, everybody who calls the shots in Nigeria must realize that this is a Nigerian problem. And they must stop playing politics with people's lives. They must stop using terrorism as a means for campaign. They must stop using the Boko Haram phenomenon as a means of rubbishing the ruling government. They must stop using terrorism, attacking the ruling party. And the ruling party itself needs to stop the blame games. It needs to stop blaming the opposition for its problem. Everybody must pull all their hands on deck, both the opposition and the ruling party. They must synergize their efforts and make sure that they tackle this issue head on. And then, more importantly, the citizens, as Carol said, need to be properly informed about why it's important for them to report suspicious movements. Unfortunately, there is very little to which the citizens can do in this regard. So one or two lives could be saved if the people also have some elements of trust in their government and in their security apparatus. But more importantly, we need to tackle Boko Haram from the three perspectives I identified: from the political perspective, religious perspective, and the economic perspective. In those days when we were growing up, the North used to be a very solid structure of what a normal family should look like. Well, all that's changed now. In the last 2 weeks, I heard a 10-year-old girl was saved from committing suicide because she was just lucky enough to have been detected or to have been found by the military. In those days, you wouldn't see a 10-year-old lady roaming about the streets in the North. I mean, it wasn't that bad. Things have gone so wrong, so bad that even the family setting that used to thrive on a very structured system in the North has been so debased. So everybody who matters, from the parents to the politicians, to the security agents, to the ordinary man on the street, needs to be aware of what is going on and see this war as a war that is even much more serious than the Civil War, and then we tackle it together as a country. Other than that, we're going to be just dancing around the same cycle over and over again.
All right. So just in wrapping up, Godi, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
Yes, I do. I would like to add that we are embracing the culture of democracy, and in doing so, we need to, those who have already the responsibility, the mantle of leadership, needs to really learn or be educated again. And because all those things, how we are today, how the country runs, is because we have a lot of people who are not supposed to be where they are, that are running the affairs of the country. We cannot become great without doing the right things. And when you have too many people who are less knowledgeable and things that and has a mentality that our problems there are quick fix to all problems, then we never get anywhere. We will always continue to have this crisis or different kind of crisis that will come up later. Now we have terrorism. We never believed that actually we would have this thing. It will come to a time when Nigerians will be blowing themselves up. I'll tell you something. I had the opportunity to meet with the Senate leadership and by the Senate President and some other members of the Senate. When they came here on a visit, a retreat or something like that, to meet with the Czech Parliament, and we had a meeting, and we were just speaking, and I asked the questions about how they are all tackling this issue. And one of them who was sitting next to me said, "Look, that all these things that they are doing in Nigeria, they are not Nigerians. They are people who are coming from Niger. They are people who are coming from other countries that are doing these things." And I like looking at him, like a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria still believes in this way, that Nigerians cannot commit crimes, or Nigerians are not able to blow themselves up out of frustration because the government has denied them every basic means or every right that they have as a citizen. We are still living in this mindset, and because we are still this way, things are taking us by surprises. So we need to wake up, we need to brace up, we need to realize that the country, Nigeria, belongs to us. All those money, all those things we are clamoring to, control this, take this money, grab whatever it is, fighting for juicy appointments. If we have them and we do not have peace, we do not have a place to live, of what purpose is it? Is it to take the money to go buy houses in Dubai or invest them in foreign banks, or those banks will actually use the money and actually help their own citizens, and you can never actually go there as a Nigerian citizen to benefit from it. So these are the things that we need to, because this problem, let's look at it this way, it's as a result of poverty and neglect that has actually robbed the people of, giving them hopelessness. They do not believe in their country anymore. So why should they keep hoping? And those who have actually been captured somehow are using the opportunity to, you give me a little money, let me go commit a crime. All these kids who are committing these crimes, if you take them and rehabilitate them and give them an opportunity, they would realize that there is no benefit in killing than actually there is if they had the opportunity to live a better life as the kids of those who are ruling this country. Nigeria, we need to wake up, because we are not going to leave our country unless the country decides to be broken up into pieces. And that is what is going to happen if this heat doesn't turn down. And so my last message for those who are the political elites, all this campaign, when I see the adverts on the television, it really turns my stomach, because it is so cheap, lacks imagination, and that this is what a whole government can come up with and air them on the television for people to see, because they know that the Nigerian, the masses who are going to consume this thing, do not even think anymore for themselves. They do not think anymore, so they just take whatever that is thrown at them. Just go on a newspaper stand in Nigeria and hear people argue a lot of things, and you will see the level, the deep, shallow mentality of the people. Even go on Twitter, go on Facebook, on page and stuff, and see how people go on any media, any newspaper that is being published about an article, and see the level of how to say responses that you get from Nigerians. You would really see that we have a generation that, I think once somebody once said that was dead on arrival. Our generation, I'm sorry to say, is a generation that is in trouble, because when these people who are in government today, how many in the next 30 years, most of them will not be there. What mindset, what level of knowledge or intelligence that the people who are now would use to build a society for in the next few in the next few years, in the next 20, 25 years? There is none. There is none. So our problem should really, we need to go back to the drawing board. We should start educating properly. It is not about building schools. It is not about the best schools. We should look about the content of what we teach people. Why can't people start learning subjects like law from primary school and secondary school, understanding what is it that is a basic rights and responsibility as a citizen? We used to learn civics education. We used to know so many things before. How strong are the contents of those or those topics now? How many kids can tell you what is his civic right and responsibility properly? We need to reintroduce these subjects for people to really understand and know, and have the mind that they are growing, and this is what the society wants. This is what the system is requiring from them, and we have to make sure that the law is there for the people, because the reason why we are in shambles is because we have no law. The law protects only those who are able to buy the law. If you cannot buy the law would not be able to protect you. So that is it from my side.
All right, Carol, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
All right, so we were just talking about additions. In wrapping up the conversation, what would be your last take? But just like, can I just prompt you to say, I think the military also have made some, or the security forces, because we've seen or heard about botched bombings. They've seen some bombs and defused them. I think credit should go to the military. What's your take?
In wrap up, in terms of credit to military on what they've done in Boko Haram.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, they, not that they've sat down and folded their arms or tied their hands to their back. Obviously there's military presence in the areas mostly affected by Boko Haram, and they're there, and obviously they would have a few success in that region. What we're saying is we really shouldn't be where we are today, and there's more that needs to be done. The real issues that they need to do, they are not doing properly. Yes, they may have gone into Sambisa forest to to go in search of the girl. But then, if you look at what they should have done in a day or two after the abduction that happened, you would see that what they are doing is below par. Not that they are doing nothing; it's what they are still doing is below par. And Boko Haram are just becoming brazen by the day. They need to do more, and that's what we're saying. The government needs to do more. Even, and they need like I keep hammering on this, but they need citizen involvement. And I think Muyiwa was talking about the poverty and politics into it. Obviously, that's playing a big part in this terror. I think Boko Haram are just becoming mostly more political than anything else. And again, the moment the government realize this and they really want to end Boko Haram, because I think what's lacking in this whole thing about terror and Boko Haram in Nigeria is there's a lack of political will to end Boko Haram. And then once that's there, I think the rest is just us gradually seeing Boko Haram coming to an end.
All right, thank you there, Carol. Muyiwa, let's take yours before we wrap.
It's this
Hello,
basic question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, what the government needs to do is to ask itself one very simple question. Am I really representative of the wishes and aspirations of my people? If the government can answer that question, then Boko Haram will be a thing of the past. Don't be surprised. President Goodluck Jonathan, as clueless as people describe him, if he does really want to end Boko Haram, he's not willing to end Boko Haram now because he's benefiting from it indirectly. He's been in the limelight. Whether we like it or not, Nigerians are getting more divided. The citizenry will continue to think that enough are trying to push him out by using Boko Haram, and then he has a steady base in terms of political support. That could work for him. Again, from the political angle, the longer Boko Haram festers, the more divided the votes from the North become, because the North will be seen to be in shambles. So it pays the presidency indirectly if this terror continues. But life on a daily basis, people are dying. Innocent Nigerians have been hacked down by these agents of terror. And that said, and every responsible government all over the world shouldn't fold its arms and watch this madness, so to speak, continue the way this government has shown over the last 3 years. And if this government wants to be sincere about itself, I do really think that it needs to wake up from its long slumber, see reasons why this terror must be brought to an end, be less corrupt. I'm not saying they shouldn't be corrupt, because I know it's probably going to be a problem for this government to be able to shove aside its government. For once, try to be less corrupt and tackle security. Do not politicize security. Do not bring in corruption into security affairs. Once a government does that, that government has lost all forms of legitimacy and self-respect and integrity to continue to preside over the affairs of the people. If President Goodluck Jonathan's government cannot solve corruption, let him at least for once step down the issue of corruption in the fight against Boko Haram, so that the boys who are on the field can get paid and get properly mobilized and motivated. So ammunition that the government spends a lot of money to buy doesn't get easily cut away. These soldiers who are deserting. And then more importantly, so that the citizens can have enough confidence in their government as being capable and as being willing to defend their interests. Once we're able to remove corruption from this, it will solve the political question hanging around why Nigeria hasn't won the war against terror. To solve the economic question, and then it will solve the religious question also, because the government won't just be seen as a government. The people will see it as a responsible government, and then we would see Nigerians rising up against this terror group. So we need to look at that to progress from. I not be able to do that if those who call the shots don't think that they've had enough, they've stolen enough in the name of terror, and they should end it now. We need to appeal to them to stop this carnage by becoming less corrupt in this fight against terrorism.
All right, guys, thank you for joining the Hangout. It's been wonderful. The discussion has been robust and sincere, as well as a conversation filled with passion and the hope to see a better Nigeria as soon as possible. we'll call it quits here. Once again, it's a Channels Beam production, a Channels Beam hangout for Channels Television. Thank you all for joining, and I am Victor Matthias.